There's Jimmy Johnson's alongside Christian Baragli, Zambanini in this group as well. 52 there for Cofidis with Simon Geske. And it's a rather large group behind, as some riders are desperate to get to the equally large group just in front.
We see it all the time, Rob, that you know, you make that effort over the top of every climb in the last kind of few hundred metres to get positioning on a descent, and a tricky descent like that. This is what happens. Gapping's open, you come onto the flat, and you know, you've got 20-30 seconds to chase, and nobody wants to kind of do the chasing. And when you see the riders that are here, you know, there's some significant rates breaking up in the front.
It's Harold Tejada there for Astana, Kazakhstan. On his wheel, Davide Formolo. We know he is in fine form after winning Agostoni the other day. At the back, Ugo Uhl just starting to struggle and slide. Niccolò Burrati in the red in front of him, in the red and navy on the right-hand side. We'd already heard that Tillmann Andersen wasn't at his very best. And, well, on paper, he's the best climber in this group, isn't he, Brian? You just know that he's nowhere near top form, given how hard he's had to work to come back.
Yeah, it's tough, but he just wants to finish with you know, back to racing. You can see that Michael Matthews in the blue and the white, he isn't going, and he cannot possibly, and that's why.
Here come Jumbo-Visma. Interesting that Eddie Dunbar has been a man at the front of the race, and he's sitting second wheel here. And look how this has split up on the opening slopes already, Brian Smith.
Yeah, just hit me straight in the face there.
And we've had an issue. We've had a big issue behind.
Yeah, straight in the face there when I saw the size of the group. This is at the bottom of the climb, and already there's only a small amount of riders left.
Well, there's Maxime Vachils was called up there for Lotto Destiny. There's a rider as well for DSM. Bora Hansgrohe represented on the other side of the road just before it cut away. And look at what's happened to the gap. There's been a huge acceleration at the front of the peloton that you can see, because the gap has reduced to 49 seconds. Let's see if we can see what happened.
I think it's just a case of, you know, the trying to get onto the climb, Rob, maybe crunching gears, maybe, you know, touching a wheel, just something, you know, just that normally happens. If you don't make the effort of moving to the front beforehand, you get caught in the kind of melee behind.
Well, Attila Volter is here at the front. Wout van Aert is in this group on the right-hand side, just a couple of wheels back. Filippo Ganna holding on well. His former teammate Eddie Dunbar on the left as we looked at it there. The man you're looking at here is Bob Jongels, who has been in that front group, but he's just starting to slip and slide. Rui Costa's climbing well up there at the front. 14 here is Sandro Meureser, who we know can climb. Jonathan Caicedo, he's there just in front, the former champion of Ecuador. And it's still Formolo alongside Tejada who are leading things up here. We just starts to take shape. And in fact, Filippo Ganna is still in this group as opposed to the group behind. He's hanging on there.
Yeah, he is, and hanging on well. Same with Soudal Quickstep. They've got a couple of riders in here as well. Looks like Catania. Could be, is it Baggioli, just kind of sheltered behind, but this Michael Matthews doing a good job here. Got himself in that break, now helping Eddie Dunbar. I was kind of half expecting Simon Yates to be here, but I think he was just in the second group, just taking a look back now. There he is there in this small group just behind, so there's an opportunity for Simon to get across here, but look at the damage that's been done.
There's Wout van Aert.
He just has to be careful. He's got one teammate just behind him. Like I said, just he has to pace this one. If he can come back, he can come back.
Look at the names who are here as well, Brian. There's some big names in this particular shot here. You've got the likes of Ulisses there, Mollema's there. There's lots of riders to come back with, aren't there?
And definitely they want to come back.
So this is the Wout van Aert group further down the hill. Over halfway up it now. And Van Aert has a teammate in here in the shape of Valter. Ulisses always a factor in these races, and he's there. Of course, he'll be happy that his teammate is at the front of the race at the moment in the shape of Formolo. And here she is following in the second group. Here's Dries Stevenijns. And this looks like it's not far off being the final time in his career that he's been out at the front of a race and he's about to be caught. And he might be able to do something more for his teammates, because those leading 100%. The group behind are now wearing Soudal Quickstep jerseys.
You don't have to think about it. 100% he'll do something. That's the type of rider he is. He's done his job. He's got himself in the breakaway. But he just wants more the whole time. He just wants to kind of help, and it's magnificent to see. But these four riders, not too sure what gap they've got, Rob. Started, he'll be hoping that it'll go uphill first.
Well, Jorgensen now working at the service of Alex Aramburu. As you see Pozzovivo taking a drink there. Israel Premier Tech also, I think, had Corbin Strong on the start list today, but he was dropped on the climb. So good to see Pozzovivo back, and we might sound like stuck records telling you about his trials and tribulations, but he had another of those horrific injuries that plagued his career this summer. But he keeps coming back, he keeps bouncing back, and
but it's a good card to have of Mark Hirscher. Clearly a rider from UAE Team Emirates on form, but I think that's the card he'll be playing at the moment.
He's not coming through to take turns for the first time, you can see that now. In all fairness to him, he was the one putting most of the pace on the last climb, wasn't he? Yep, Davide Formolo being allowed to sit there because of the presence of his teammate further back. Jorgensen pulling things down well. Mosca's not going to ride. Catania certainly will. Jorgensen trying to support his teammate, who is Alex Aramburu. Movistar won this race last year through Ivan Garcia Cortina. He races his final race of the season today. He's in one of the groups that will be chasing on behind.
That's what I want to see, Rob. I want to see the next group behind, who's chasing, who's coming up. They weren't that far behind. I reckon about, what, 15, 20 seconds?
Just see Eddie Dunbar, and there we go. We had another group there, yeah, just coming into shot.
Who's in that? That's the thing. Who is in that group?
Climb coming up. Do they need to get there before then, or is
Red
there still a
jerseys.
chance?
Is that Lotto Destiny?
Well, here's Tejada. He's got the ever-aggressive Caicedo on his wheel. Third wheel there is Formolo. Well, he'll be playing the game here with Rui Costa. Rui Costa, no one will beat him at this game. He's the very best at it. Demonstrated again, didn't he, in the Vuelta a España. He knows exactly what to do in these situations and how to get the best out of the whole group and then himself.
Yeah, just saw in that kind of third group in the road some red jerseys. Could you know, the quickest. But also the fact that when we come over the top of this climb, if they don't have enough, then there's an opportunity for, you know, this group to come back. If Jorgensen's there looking after Aramburu, then they've got a chance to come back, but they have to put a serious amount of work in.
Here is Jorgensen, and it's Pozzovivo who's trying to follow. Buitrago third wheel. There is another Bahrain jersey behind, actually. No sign of Wout van Aert getting back on, by the way, and just on that subject, Wout
Ghana, I still believe, is in here. Still stands a chance if he is.
Ben Turner's the Ineos rider you're looking at here. 107 on his back. Second to last rider. Last rider on the line is Santiago Buitrago. Keep Ryan Albanese as well. Make an effort to close the gap on the climb, and again it might be a case of where everybody's energy levels in, how many cartridges they've got left to fire towards the end, because you've got these fast riders here on paper, but they've been on the attack already. Hirschi alongside Bajoli and Aramburu, who's still riding here. Guillaume Martin just along for the ride on this terrain. He'll be there just hoping he gets tactical. You never know.
Just ticking by quite quickly. But now Gebre Zabier is riding with Ben Turner. There's a possibility, but I think they need a little bit more help, and you can see that Jorgensen just trying to get in the way a little bit. This could be touch and go, Rob, if no one else helps.
It is certainly Eddie Dunbar who's got back on for Jaco Alou. That's the other rider we can see along on the left-hand side. Just gone to hide away. Pozzovivo still in there for Israel Premier Tech. Costa tries to recover and follows. It's been an intriguing, very interesting tactical game. And we've ended up with the quartet on the left-hand side of the picture 4 kilometers remain in Gran Piemonte 2023, the 107th edition of the Tour of Piedmont. 16 seconds and growing now. Bajoli alongside Aramburu, Guillaume Martin and Marc Hirschi, with just 2 riders chasing behind. They are Ben Turner and Emmanuel Gebrexiabier. Gebrexiabier giving his best because Jacopo Mosca, the local boy, his teammate, is in here.
Yeah, it's a good thing they are riding, and they are riding, like you say, not for the sprinter, but for the local boy, as you say, Mosca. But they seem to be disappearing a little bit. They're not kind of really eating into this. But I have to think a little bit here, Rob, that if I was in here with 3 kind of quick sprinters, I wouldn't be entirely happy and contributing. And I don't think they will. 3 kilometers to go now, and they know each other. They know each other's got quite a good kick, so they might start to play a little game here in the running. And if they do, then this group will be on them. But for the moment, it does look as if the win's coming from the group in front. But I think Guillaume Martin, I think he has to sit back a little bit and maybe do a last-ditch effort. He has to try and do something.
Chat there between Leibowitz and Bob Jungels. Jungels just in front of Leibowitz, the German. Pozzovivo moving up into 3rd wheel there. Maybe he's thinking out of bringing back his lead out like he did for Biniam Girmay at the Giro the other year. Nick Schultz is definitely his teammate in there. Approaching 2 kilometers to go, and the direction of travel of this gap's going one way. Up to 20 seconds now.
It wasn't coming back. It was for a moment, but there's just not enough firepower. And as you often get in these races, a lot of teams, a lot of riders just kind of sitting back. Bora coming up now. If they wanted to, they should have come up a bit earlier, but that's the nature of the game. Everybody kind of sits back and expects everybody else to do it. Pozzovivo now riding, and I think the win is definitely going to come from the 4 in front. I think Guillaume Martin is going to have a crack at some point, but I think they'll start to kind of look at each other soon.
Ben Turner's out of gas as well. He's gone. He's given his all there for Filippo Ganna, and now in this group they're looking, barring any late incident or changes, at 5th place. At the front, they can now start to think about how they're going to win, and the games have begun. They look around, they fan across the road. Martin sits at the back. 18 seconds, and at the front it's breaking up as well. They're going to go off in search of their own glory, and it is Bahrain Victorious who tried to do that through Santiago Buitrago. Georg Zimmermann is on his wheel. And there's no consensus really here now. Martin comes through, still rides. And there's the first little bit of soft pedalling. Chance to take a drink as they go under the Flamme Rouge with 1 kilometer to go. Marc Hirschi in the white. And the blue with the M on his back, it's Alex Aramburu. The blue and white jersey belonging to Soudal Quick-Step now. Following this move is Andrea Bajoli. And at the back, the odd one out, the Grand Tour man, Guillaume Martin, with 3 punchy fast finishers. And it is Martin who's going to hit them. This is the big one. And now somebody has to chase. That somebody is Bajoli, who does not want to let him out of his sight. And Martin doing the best he can, doing the only thing he can really do. 500 meters to go. It's Martin who's going to be here. He'll look around. At the minute, they won't see the chasers. It's Aramburu who's going to try and maybe come to the front here. He wants the position around the corner, and he's going to sprint at the corner, perhaps. No, he'll look. 300 meters to go. But he's at the front, perhaps not where he wanted to be. Let's see. 1 more turn to go. Finish line now up ahead. Coming up into the final 150 meters, and it is going to be Hirschi on the right as we look at it in the white. Aramburu on the left-hand side, but it's Bajoli who's hit the front. Bajoli's there up against Hirschi. Hirschi's still at the front, but Bajoli now coming to the front, and Andrea Bajoli does it again for Soudal Quick-Step. They are not going anywhere without a fight. Brilliant win for Bajoli. And on his home race, it's a victory from the rest of the bunch of 5th place for Filippo Ganna. Bajoli had that one. Aramburu, maybe you could question a decision or two there from him. Did not have the speed. Hirschi was close as well. 24-year-old Andrea Bajoli takes his 7th career win, and Soudal Quickstep's 55th victory of the 2023 season. They remain a fighting force, and they continue to fight all the way to the last. It's Bajoli, it's Hirschi, Aramburu, 4th place there, going to Guillaume Martin. And behind, despite Zimmerman and Costa coming in together, they could not get the better of Filippo Ganna, who took the 5th place. Amazing, isn't it, Brian? Because on paper, start of the season, let's say, you'd have Aramburu as the fastest rider in the group there. And again, you just wonder about the decisions. We see the crash behind. Oh, no. The first rider who goes down, by the way, from Eolo Cometa is Vincenzo Albanese.
Yeah, that's what bike racing is, just making decisions. We're going to see it again, aren't we? This is Italy. Just slides out, takes Mosca. It's these decisions, Rob, that you make in races. That on that descent coming across to the two in front, if he hadn't have done that, he wouldn't have been in with a chance of a win. And then he sprinted okay, but trying to sprint from the front when